day.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
What up, what up? I'm Adrian Young.
So
I'm
I was
Ali
fuck-
Shaheed Muhammad,
And we are.
the Midnight Hour,
And you are listening to.
Mega Late Show.
Yeah, man. Actually, that was 100 episodes ago that they were in studio here with us. Shout out to Ali Shaheed Muhammad and
You a
Adrian
triple
Young.
OG. What episode is this?
This is episode 145.
God damn.
We've been doing this for about 4 years, dog. It's been, on and off. We skipped a lot of weeks. We also 145 don't seem like a lot,
That's
but
a
we've
lot.
got over 200 pieces of content. We just didn't number all of them. It used to be me and my man Late. Did you know Late when he was out here? He from Atlanta too.
I mean, I don't know
Okay.
them, but I know who he is. So.
Yeah, he still does the content.
What part of
You
Atlanta
know,
you from?
I don't know. A lot of cats that say they're from Atlanta say
but
they're
it's
from
like, I'm
Atlanta, but
actually
they
from Lilburn.
yeah. I think he's from a little bit north. I don't know. Near, not up by that one prison, but you know what I mean. I heard
press 'em.
there's that one prison. Nah, I don't know. See, when people
the
ask me
federal
about
prison
California,
is like northeast. So that's like
okay, that's
Moreland and
he ain't that far.
the federal penitentiary is like down Moreland Avenue.
Okay. Well, see, I know. Shout out to Late. That's my brother forever. He's still doing the temperature check content over the phone with a lot of people. Check those out.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, when people tell me they from Los Angeles, I could check them.
Yeah.
Where you from,
yeah.
Los Angeles? I mean, I'm really from Van Nuys. I'm like,
yeah,
dog, all right, Los Angeles.
Fernando Valley.
What, you from Bompton? You ain't from nowhere in Los Angeles, dog. And I'm not even from Los Angeles, but I was around Inglewood a lot when I was a kid. Shout out to California. Shit, we all see me and you. I knew when me and you got together, we was going to start rambling and going off on all these tangents. Let me introduce the damn show.
All right.
Welcome back to the Mega Late Show, episode number 145. The Mega Late Show is a Tokyo-based hip hop, art, and culture podcast. I am the host of said podcast and also the producer. If you're watching this on video, welcome to the channel. This is the Secret House Against the World, where I talk about a lot of things, and the Mega Late Show video content will be here as well. If you are a listener to the podcast, please go like, subscribe, smash the like button, do all the things that other YouTubers have told you to do with their video content. Do that to mine so I can have more followers. As I said, we've been doing this for about 4 years, and about 100 episodes ago, we had Ali Shaheed Muhammad on. We continue with the illustrious guest list, and yeah, word. All these beats in the background are brought to you by two Japanese beat makers, two of my favorite guys. One of them, Il Sugi, has been on the podcast before. Tajima Hall. Both of them have a collaborative project called Il Mahal, which is a portmanteau of their names. If you didn't catch that, it just dropped today as we're recording. So listen to that. All the beats in the background. Support local and independent art. Build mutual aid networks. And today, Kingslayer Duo. My dog. Yo, man. Should I just call you Maurice Shelton?
You may call me Mr. No, I was about to say
Mr.
Mr. Tibbs.
Tibbs. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Nah.
Yeah,
You
word.
call me Maurice. It's
All right.
whatever.
Well, Maurice is actually one of the names that I used to use to lie to police officers and shit.
Really?
When they ask me, like, what's your name? I'll be like, Maurice Buchanan. Which was this brother that I went to junior high school with, but it was one of my go-to names, like off rip, Maurice Buchanan. And yeah, but I would always say like Maurice
Yeah.
Buchanan, or I would lie to him and say that I was my brother Kari Watson from Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach,
but
homie.
yeah, Maurice, man.
Genius for lovers, not fighters.
And you and I, man, we've only recently become friends through the Black Lives Matter group and doing the podcast with Tracy Jones. Shout out to our guy Tracy Jones back in the States, prolific writer. Also, I got a little piece of his art here, the 7-inch of his album. You know what I mean? Support your friends, support local and
go.
independent art. This came out on Uncommon Records with NASA.
Yeah, that's right.
Pay money.
Human Cloud Abandonment.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's old work from him too. I wish he would do some new shit, but we met through
Gotta
there.
do some new shit, Tracy.
He started. First, we were just gonna have a conversation about the George Floyd murder, and a little bit of justice. I gotta say, Maurice, this week I'm not on my my prison abolition shit. Right now, I'm really like, let that motherfucker burn in hell too. Yes, I hope he dies.
Yeah. And I hope he burns in hell.
Yeah, so I'm off my police, not my police abolition, but my prison abolition shit right now. Just bear with me. I got another 72 hours of this joy, and I'm back on my bullshit. but Tracy, we met each other through that. And then Tracy wanted to continue the podcast under the fire this time, which we had a lot of good conversations, and those are still online and posted. Yeah. And then when Tracy moved back to the States, we decided to rebrand and start the This Is Not Information podcast with our people. And we did that for a while, but recently I stepped away from the podcast, and you guys are still continuing that.
Left my black ass out in the cold.
Well,
it's okay though, man. It's all right. It's all love.
I mean, you say that because we was like the leftist on the podcast.
Yeah,
right? I get it.
Yeah,
I didn't leave for any reason in particular that was about our politics or about the friendships or the conversations we're having.
No, you gotta protect your energy. You know, it's you don't want to stretch yourself too thin. I get it, because I'm guilty of that every day.
Yeah, I started feeling a little bit like I was antagonistic to some of the conversations because I just wasn't having fun. So I'd be like, why the fuck we talking about dating broke people? Aren't y'all broken? And you know what I mean?
We all broke, motherfucker.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean as a religion? Yeah, I just started feeling antagonistic.
Yeah.
And generally when it comes to my politics, I'm trying to, even though I do a bad job at it, I'm usually trying to unify people and move us towards things and not try to break up ideologies and try to convert you to some leftist shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the ground that we're on, that we share the same views, is the important ground. And the rest of the shit is just like, yeah, you don't gotta like Barack Obama. You could forget about that brother. You know what I mean?
He is
like,
forgotten.
Yeah.
Please
big
believe
time
me.
word.
Unless,
But
of course, you tune into Amazon Prime. You know, you see him all over the place. So.
he got a podcast now.
They
It's
make
called
it
This Is Not Information. The Mega Late Show Barack Obama podcast.
Here's my wife, Michelle.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind having a beer with him, because when I hear him talk, I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? He seemed like a human being. But I gotta remember sometimes,
Yeah.
Looks are deceiving.
I'm gonna say this though, man. It's 2021 now, and I'm like, for anybody that's listening, I think you all know I'm that dude that was Googling and researching and doing a lot of of the work, quote unquote work, and I knew when I first saw him enter the national stage, he was a monster, and I mean that in the literal and figurative sense. And I'll peel the onion on that a little bit. For someone that knows how to manipulate the certain stereotypes, affectations, to, like you said, like, yeah, he seems like the guy, like he's in the back hitting the bong, and you'll have a beer on him. He cool, but like, he's about his shit. He's about
he got a rap playlist, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. He
every
know
year.
what to say to like make you comfortable in like maybe peeling off your skin and like eating you alive. Like, he can do that, and that's if you're looking at it from a political standpoint, that's a beautiful thing. You need a monster like that on your side. But at the same time, for people in the global South and people that are perennially marginalized, bad news.
Well, the thing is like, he's kind of like a very wonderful embodiment of the kind of the liberal you want to like. He says all the right talking points, but behind the scenes is like, he ain't closing Gitmo. He's a part. He's an instrument of that superstructure of oppression to not just black people in America, but people all around the globe. So, I mean, tangent. But yeah, we both on our lefty bullshit, you know what I mean? And I want to emphasize that because pay attention, read some books, do the studies. But
open up a goddamn book, okay? Just do the reading. I don't want to sound ableist, but if you can't read, guess
audio.
what?
Right?
There are audio books out there.
Shit.
You can find people to share the knowledge with you.
There are legit, like, a lot of this shit is mad academic too, but there's a lot of podcasts out there that read the book, discuss the book, and it's like having a better version of Cliff Notes. But you got to do the knowledge. But that's the first thing that you and I kind of connected on in terms of our friendship developing. Then I found out you were an MMA guy.
Yes.
And I kept on finding more. And I got to admit, one of the primary reasons that I wanted to have you on today is because I have a curiosity about MMA in Japan. Now, I'm an old I'm an old kind of MMA head in the scope of the modern era. I remember watching like UFC pay-per-views when I was in junior high school. Like I remember when Gary Goodrich caught chop
Yeah,
he the dude tried to get him with the fireman carry and he just dropped those elbows. I saw that live. I saw the first UFC live, but I wasn't really knowledgeable about it. I started watching MMA again around 2004.
Okay.
Which was relatively early. This is before the Ultimate Fighter. This is before it blew up, and I found out about it from wanting to learn how to defend myself, and also on the internet.
Yeah.
I was on those websites, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Would you consider yourself a fighter still, or are you just trainer? You got the itch. You still in shape, dog. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, I'm on camera now, so I gotta be diplomatic about my response. So, I want to say,
Microphone.
Yeah.
You
Microphone.
Yeah. I just mean reconnect.
Yeah. I'm a semi-retired professional fighter. I'll never say that I retired from fighting completely, just because in every life you have a fight. Shout out to UFC Gym Japan. What's your fight? No, but seriously though,
Is that the catch? Is that
yeah,
the
that's
phrase?
one of the catchphrases.
Oh
yeah.
shit!
Like
My
free
fight is
advertising.
against obesity.
Yeah.
right. You know?
Actually, I put like a Walter. I don't know if you saw on the website. Like I put like a Walter Rodney quote. I don't know if anybody caught it, but like
Hey.
and like Yoda and all that stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I know. Like for me, getting into that realm as a young person, probably the same. Because we close to the same age. You were born '83, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm like a few months older than Mega. Like same thing. Like I had followed mixed martial arts and just fighting in general. Like first was boxing, because like my father and my grandfather were they entered like tough man competitions, that type of stuff. And then it's the same thing. I'm a young black kid from the southern United States of America. You got to know how to throw your hands, or at least slap box a little bit.
Right.
But I was growing up, I was one of the smaller kids, so I never considered myself a great athlete, but I want to say I was surprisingly athletic for my size. So that I always carried that chip on my shoulder. I carried that chip on my shoulder all the way to Japan, and I fought professionally for about 4 years. Yeah. Took some losses, had some wins, but I learned a lot of stuff along the way. I trained in Canada. I trained in the United States. I trained here in Japan.
You trained with TriStar when you were in Canada?
Yeah, I trained with TriStar. I was there for the summer, actually, and learned a lot. So one of the things that I always teach any of my students currently now, like whether it's in English teaching or in fighting, is something that I got taught when I was young. Like there's always going to be somebody that's better than you that might have
Right.
your number. But that doesn't keep you, you have to have a growth mindset. That shouldn't stop you or preclude you from trying to be the best version of you. So when I got to TriStar, for example, I had just come off of loss.
When did you start training?
Officially, like mixed martial arts?
Yeah.
I want to say 2010.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I dabbled before that for a while. Like I dabbled in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I dabbled
bet.
karate, taekwondo, aikido, everything.
See,
like
I've never trained MMA. I've trained judo, boxing, Shotokan, Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
well, you say all those. That's mixed martial
Well,
arts.
but
right there,
but I
man.
mean, I've never been in a gym where the emphasis like today is wrestling, tomorrow is jiu-jitsu,
yeah.
then it's kickboxing, then it's boxing, which is what I consider like training MMA.
Yeah, and that's a funny thing, and maybe somebody's already done the work on this or the research. I feel like the history of quote unquote mixed martial arts, modern mixed martial arts, has taken a new life of its own. But there's always been crossover fighting. Like the strongest wrestler is gonna travel the world and beat up all the standard boxers or the judokas.
We're kind of in like one of the meccas for that actually
Yeah.
here in Japan.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a rich history. You have like the Gracies. They try to prove their their hybrid art to the world to embiggen themselves.
Right.
And there's another
Successful too.
Yes, it's successful. You know, I have my criticisms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in its current form, but I can't knock the hustle. You know, that what the Gracies did in terms of popularizing the sport and sport Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well as mixed martial arts. You can't deny it.
It's effective as shit.
Yeah, it's effective.
The gyms also had an air of legitimacy. They hadn't got well. I don't know about now because I haven't been into a gym to train for a minute. And I had a question about that for you actually. You know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was a martial art where it's like you didn't just get a blue belt for showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had to reach certain milestones with your technique and your ability in order to get that blue belt. And so it wasn't like going to a Taekwondo gym and then in 2 years you're a black belt. Just because you pay your fees, you know what I mean? And there was a legitimacy to that. I don't know if that's still a thing.
No,
Because if I could, okay, I'll let you answer first,
Yeah.
and then I'll follow up on that
yeah,
question.
I think you'll see it in like the Bullshido like forums, bullshido.net or like
Bullshido. We used to call it McDojo.
Yeah, McDojos. Yeah, like there's always been a McDojo, and you know, whenever you talk about capitalism or like the incentive, the financial incentive for people to
Commodify art.
yeah, it's gonna be there. So I think it's been there in terms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but at the same time, I think because the very nature of like doing it was like rolling around on the ground with somebody, it's really hard to fake that, you know? Like if you don't know what to do when someone has your neck a certain way,
Right.
there's no amount of like, you know, fakery that you can do
little
like
bit.
with like a kata. Like
Right. It's like you bust this horse stance
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah,
It's a little
like,
bit
or you're
different.
like swinging around a stick or a plastic sword or something. Like, no, like you're going to get choked out, man. Like, so I give people that in terms of like the effectiveness, because a lot of times, you know, I had this discussion before with many people about, for example, like, should you focus on striking versus groundwork? What comes first? And if anybody that's watching has ever been in a fight on the playground, in the mall, in the parking lot, you know, you drunk, yeah, it starts out, you know, standing up, but don't fall to the ground if you don't know what you're doing down there. Because I started out like knowing how to, you know, throw my hands, but when I, you know, professionally too, like I get to the ground, I'm like, oh shit, you might panic, and that might be a wrap for you. So, yeah, it's a never-ending discussion about like the legitimacy of certain gyms. You know, some gyms have stronger, you know, they have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. So it's.
Yeah, my question was, you know, I've got a buddy. Shout out to my buddy Aaron Cholai, who's he's a bit of a savant when it comes to things. He's an actual real piano prodigy, and I'm not over exaggerating with that.
Okay.
Just an amazing fucking guy, and you know, he's one of those people who's like, when he does something, like he has that obsessive personality, that addictive personality type, where he just does it. So for about like, I want to say like maybe like 16 months, all he did was just roll.
Okay.
And he was rolling with a pretty good team, like a national, I forget exactly who it was, but it was like a team that rolls in the nationals. So they've got high level, every belt that they have is like a high level blue, a high level purple, brown, and black. And he fucking managed to get a purple belt in like 16 months, which back when I was training, that is absurd.
Yeah.
You know, back when I was training, like you hear about BJ Penn getting a blue
Penn,
in like a year.
Yeah,
And it's like, what? And it's like, well, he got the money to roll every day and not do anything else. And so there's that, but it's also just like, how the fuck do you get a purple? Like what gym is legitimately giving a purple? And I was like, okay, that's great. But then I met a guy through my job a couple weeks back, and he was like, yeah, I roll at Imanari's gym down the street. And I was like, Imanari's got a gym?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I roll with Imanari. I was like, he rolls with a white belt?
Yeah.
And he's like, actually, I'm a purple now. I just got a purple. I mean, not a purple. I'm a blue. And I'm like, you only been rolling for a year at Imanari's gym, and you got a blue? Sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's not. It sounds like bullshit, but it's something that's actually happening. So I was wondering, in your experience here in Japan, is it like fucking easier to get a belt? I mean, it just sounds crazy to me. I don't have a blue belt. I've got my white. There's a
Disclaimer.
stripe, right? There's and then like that's like a bucket list goal for me. You know what I mean? Like just get the blue, And most people get the blue and they leave, right? That's how it happens. But yeah, I was like, yo, I can get a blue just going down the street to the Triforce right here for a year.
Yeah. It could happen. I mean, full disclaimer, I don't have a belt either, and I've discussed this with many Brazilian jiu-jitsu like. This is personal politics. Now I don't want to get on a tangent, but to answer your question.
Wait, you roll do you not have a belt because you only roll no gi?
Usually I roll with the gi, but not often nowadays. But I have several gis at home. But
my old gym didn't give out belts if you rolled no gi.
Yeah, and that's again another like break in the discussion about like the effectiveness of certain ground techniques, because if you go to for example like 10th Planet, no matter what you think of Eddie Bravo, a lot of the stuff that they do with 10th Planet, they know, the people know their shit, and I have plenty of stories about my experiences with them, but I think the quality of a belt really depends on it. I compare any type of ranked ground fighting system to academia. And when I talk about academia, I'm talking about like you're talking about the tier 1, tier 2 universities. You can have somebody that's a big fish in a small pond, and then they get their ass ate up when they go to PANS or they go to Abu Dhabi or something like that, or they're not even able to make it past the national level. And that's because of the rigor of the people that they train with. But if they have people that have enough, I guess you could say yaruki, they really want to go for it, yeah, you can get a blue belt. You can get a blue belt within a year, definitely, and be a strong blue belt. In my opinion, from what I've seen here in Japan, they are the originators of, because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you're talking about sport, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it derives from judo, which derives from jiu-jitsu, which derives from all of the old arts of like disarming people that have weapons. So if anybody knows it, it's definitely the Japanese people. If they're staying true to some of the old stuff, there are definitely stronger gyms, and that's one of those things like with celebrity too. I think when you have somebody that's really strong, or that has actually they had a few feathers in their cap, if you want to use that analogy, then the strong people come to them. The people that really want to do it come. I trained at a gym where it was like, nah, we don't have any big names, but you got some people that know their stuff, but they're going around, they're traveling like they're like, yo, I'm just traveling to find the strongest challenger, to prove to myself that I belong in these circles. So when you have that kind of cross-pollination of people that are taking knowledge from, like, okay, you could say from Imanari, or from like Chonan's gym, or from like Sakuraba's gym. Right. There's plenty of.
Where's Sakuraba's gym? Is in Tokyo?
Yeah, he's
that's my dog.
Laughter 7. I forget exactly where. Like he's up north, I think.
Okay.
And Chonan's in Nerima. So like he has a few like decent pros. Shout out to
I just want to shake his hand. He was my favorite fighter.
I know,
20 years ago.
When I first came to Japan, I was telling my people, I'm like, yo, I want to just go to his gym and just see him in person, because I have been watching his videos for so long, and he's a Gracie killer.
Right. Maybe paint some muscles on your stomach. You know what I mean?
Ride around in a bicycle, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm Sakuraba
fucking
Kazushi.
Amazing.
But a man is a man is a man. I don't idolize anybody. If he has not a lot of knowledge, I've kind of tempered my expectations of like meeting people that I idolize, or I don't want to say idolize, but I kind of looked up to as a role model in terms of fighting. So, but
that's what happens when you meet all your heroes and shit, though.
Man,
right? It's been a little bit too much time.
We mentioned before, right?
Like,
there are no heroes, man. Like, because again, like I have stories. I ain't gonna name out any names, but I'm like, I meet people in person. I'm like, damn.
That's happened to me a lot with like hip hop heads.
Shitty person.
The type of hip hop that I listen to is like, independent, underground. So when you go to the show, it'd be intimate. Like you standing next to your favorite MC smoking a cigarette, and it's like, yo, this motherfucker chews with his mouth open. You know what I mean? Like
he's a mouth breather. What's going on?
All out the fucking mouth. What word? Okay, man. I mean, I was just curious because I might spend $100 a month for that blue belt for a year.
To kind of expand on the answer, though. I mean, it's the belt is as strong as you want it to be. Because I know, again, not naming any names, there are plenty of purple belts out there that can easily tap black belts out there that got a couple of stripes. And it's mainly because of the fact that they really want it. If you got some people out there, they probably got a stripe on their black and they are, just collecting, their monthly fees from their students. Yeah, like it's not as strong as somebody that's out there on the circuit. It's just a fact of life. You use it or lose it. But then again, you have, there's a meme out there about the one guy, he was making the micro adjustments or something like that, and he tapped, I think he was a white belt with a few black stripes, and he tapped some purple belt or a brown belt or something like that, and he made, it's about the art. It's really not about the belt. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really put too much into taking a belt, because I like academia. I don't want to be, how someone says, you can change the system from the inside, and I think that's false. Like cops that join.
Absolutely right.
You can't.
But you're going to be a cop?
Yeah, you're going to be a cop for like 20 years. I'm like, I did my best. And it's like, no,
yeah.
motherfucker, you were a cop. You were a pig.
We get people from the neighborhood to do it.
Yeah.
They'll step on your neck less.
So a lot of the problems that I have with the culture inside many of the gyms, and I can't really speak for Japanese gyms as much, but from my interactions with the people in those circles when I was actively fighting, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of conservatism. There's a lot of parochialism. There's a lot of hierarchy that, punches down, unfortunately. Right. So for me, I can't get with that. I told one of my colleagues, one of the reasons why I didn't continue on the journey in terms of like trying to get a black belt, and that's one of the things I'm like, yeah, I'll roll with a black belt, but I'm not going to hold that as a, as an achievement. Like, yeah, like this dude can't tap me, or like I tapped you.
See, you better than me, dog. I'll roll with the blue. I'll be like, that's what I thought. With your purple, that's what I thought. I'm gonna post about this on my blog. I'm not really that crazy, but I guess it's different strokes for different folks. But I do appreciate the fact that you kind of like de-emphasize the belt as being something that is an indication of skill in particular.
Yeah, I mean, it's like grading system. Like, yeah, you got an A, but like, how good of a person are you? Can you share that knowledge? Are you a conduit for the next generation, or that person that's coming in like you? Like, hey, he has some knowledge and he's maybe unsure about spending that time and energy and making that commitment of energy to because once you get on the mat with somebody, like anybody, if you fought somebody before, that's like one way to become friends with people. If you you see any of these old fighters, they're doing the old legend circuit or whatever. It's like the legends, for example, like shout out to Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Oh, yeah. Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard. These guys are friends.
Say rest in peace.
Rest in power, man. But like those,
Marvin.
they would say straight up, like, yo, I didn't really like this dude before I fought him, but we exchanged blows. Okay, we cool now.
That's one way to become friends.
That's one of the strongest ways, because I'm like. Yeah. I don't bear any.
How close can you know a person?
Yeah, I'm like, yo, I saw your blood, like, and I'm cis hetero, but I'm like, yeah, like that's one of the closest way you can get, like, to like another person of the same gender without like, being sexually intimate with them. It's like, yeah, like I know this person because you know yourself in that situation, especially when you're rolling. Like, yo, I know how far I can go, and for some people,
you such a teacher, dog.
That's right.
You're such a teacher. Like the way that you view it is also on some teacher shit. Like just because you don't have like a perfect fighting record doesn't really indicate how well you can teach people. And that's what you've been doing. You're at the UFC gym now?
Yeah, I'm at
Where
UFC
is the
gym.
UFC gym?
It's near Yoga Station. They just opened up a new location.
That's like 6 stops from fucking Shibuya.
Yeah, it's
and
right
that's
down
where
the way.
Do you train full time out of there?
I mean, I teach there a few days out of the week, and then they just opened up another location in Ogikubo. So if y'all wanna come.
How much are the prices, man? If I wanted to come out there
and check the website.
Oh, okay, bet I'll do that immediately.
UFCgym.co.jp.
What are you training out there? Mostly stand up?
Yeah, it's mostly stand-up boxing. I do a kids class, kickboxing, also kids boxing, which I'm working on now because,
What are the age group? Like when you say kids is like 6-year-olds?
Kids is anywhere from from first grade on up. So, I've had kids as young as 4 years old in my class, and as old as I think the oldest kid is about 12 or 13 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but usually once you get to that point, like a couple of my students, they're like strong as the adults, like better actually, because they're, not weighed down with like being a wage slave, so they're just
Shout
like, yo,
out
I'm
to
coming
children, man.
in. Yeah, I'm coming in. I'm whooping some ass. I don't like what Mama said to me today. I'm gonna take it out on Coach Maurice.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get my daughter in there.
Yeah, hey, you should, man. Like I think
not just, I mean, not in your gym in particular, but I think it's
you should get her
important for that.
somewhere. If not with me, with somebody, because it's definitely a good way to teach discipline. It's a good way to teach self-control. It's another great, I think, for me, I was talking to a fellow teacher about this yesterday. I took a yoga class at my gym yesterday. And, sometimes in life, people, especially in the MMA world, fighting world, combat sports in general, you think you're really strong at one thing, but then you figure out, and that's what drew me to MMA as a young kid was the fact that you could have someone like a Maurice Smith. Shout out Maurice Smith, one of the first. He's a pioneer, triple OG, but kickboxer. He's not a wrestler. So when Randy Couture like putting paws on him, it's like, okay, yeah, you got to work on your takedown defense. But you have a Kevin Jansen going against like a Frank Shamrock, Olympic level wrestler. But guess what? His submission defense is kind of suspect. So he gets triangle,
right.
So it's like it's a human chess thing. So there's always something.
That's a beautiful thing about MMA too.
Yeah.
It's really like one of the most complex sports around.
Yeah.
There's the sweet science of boxing and a variety of techniques and how to counter, but you add in several different martial arts to that, and it becomes really fascinating to see.
So many things to think about. So many permutations.
Isn't it kind of strange how back in the day, certain politicians, who I won't mention on my podcast because fuck him, we'll call it things like. Well, he was also largely responsible for, the unified rule set and
human cockfighting, yeah.
Right. So, but at the same time, it's also just like one of the most mentally challenging things that you could ever do.
Yeah.
Can we switch gears real quick?
Yeah.
I want to switch gears to your iridescent blackness. I want to switch gears to that and talk about your experiences in MMA.
Okay.
See, it sounds like if you didn't start training MMA until 2010, were you ever on the forums early in the?
Yeah, no, I was lurking.
Because you were doing other things, you just weren't training the full fighting system.
So like my full training history.
You were on MMA.tv?
Yeah, I was
Shout out to
there.
submissivefighting.com.
Yes.
That was what it was before MMA.tv.
Yeah, I was lurking. I was all over the place, just checking out old videos, and I was pirating old videos from Sherdog too.
Pirate all day. I'm all about that theft.
Yeah,
I wonder,
$3.99.
One of my best friends and actually one of the most like politically knowledgeable people that I know, who I look to as kind of a mentor in a lot of ways, and he's also black, and I met him through MMA. .tv.
Okay.
What is it called? What is the name of the site? Because MMA.tv was dead. They changed it, but it's still works. It was like the underground.
Yeah, it's MMA
no, it was like
Underground.
It's like MMA. I forget the name of it now, but it was MMA.tv when I started, and I was on that site for almost a decade, right? And it was interesting because there was very few black folks. There we go, right there, right? There was mixedmartialarts.com is what they call it now. But there was very few black folks on there, and then the ones of us that we kind of found out we were black, we kind of would be looking around, and I feel like around the internet around that time and on these websites, along with 4chan, we start to see the rise of these reactionary counterculture politics that are very much like not rooted in the traditional views of fascism and racism. They're rooted in they at least don't start there.
Yeah.
But they're kind of also like the All Lives Matter groups or the I Don't See Color groups and
colorblind racists,
and the like I'm not racist, but Barack Obama is winning because he's black and black people are voting for him because he's black. And we saw kind of that rise of this reactionary politics from that website. And it's weird to see how, especially with the kind of popularity of Joe Rogan now, because I remember when Joe Rogan was a fucking, I'd be like, yo, he read Terrence McKenna. He's down with psychedelics. I fuck with him and martial arts. Okay, his jokes are terrible though. But now there seems to be like this huge kind of a centering of the white American male, and not even just the white American male, but like masculinity in general, that kind of comes from this place of reactionary, hyper masculine politics that are very much ignorant about leftist politics, but also very much against the direction of American politics as it stands now. And it was fucking weird being black as shit on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you come up. I mean, like, I imagine it would be weird being gay as shit on that too, because they would they think that the black jokes are funny, even though the black jokes are hella punching down.
Yeah.
They think the gay jokes. They used to call the Photoshops Romo Shop. You remember that?
Yeah.
Romo Shop, and it's just like, all right, just because you don't call it homo doesn't mean that same energy's there.
Yeah.
You say the derogatory F word for the gay community, but you spell it FAY. It doesn't change it. And it being around that shit was weird. Like, how has your experience been as a black man training MMA in these circles?
Well,
or I mean, even go off on a tangent about the internet shit too. I'm just saying it's been fucking weird.
Yeah, just to answer that, I think historically, I mean, if you're going from the .com boom to we're firmly in the age of information now. I think this is just another manifestation. It's just another outlet for something that's always been bubbling under the surface for some people that care to look. Because like you mentioned before, it's not even surface level shit for us, It's something that is just there. Yeah. Like we know it intrinsically. Yeah. Like, for example, I'll give a quick story. I went to an Atlanta Thrashers game. This is in like 1997. So Atlanta Thrashers, for people that don't know, were
hockey or some shit?
NHL, National Hockey League expansion team. Atlanta's the South. We ain't got no like ice. We're not cold.
I was about to say.
It's like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, but I love hockey growing up. I love watching hockey. I love playing like anybody.
I played street hockey and rollerblades.
Yeah, like I play like Blaze of Steel. Blaze of Steel, for anybody knows NES or like Famicom, like yo, that used to be my shit. But like,
me and you are alike in a lot of ways. I wonder if this is a weird energy. MMA, the leftist politics, the fucking comic books, the rollerblade.
That's what I say. Like when you were
shit.
like you did that recording at one time. I was like, why this motherfucker trying to sound like me? Why he trying to be me? Like who is this mega motherfucker? Yeah. No, but real talk. Like
I ask myself that every day. Who is this mega motherfucker?
Who am I?
Who am I? Who am I?
But I got that spidey sense going into Phillips Arena that one night, and I was like, "Yo, I'm trying to have a great time, but like I am like it was I can't even describe the feeling. Like I was going into the belly of the beast. Like there's 15,000 white people, and like I felt like the only black person that was there that wasn't working in the venue." And it was one of those things where I just knew, just from my own, previous experiences, that I got to mind my step. I got to mind my P's and Q's. And that's something that you don't it doesn't need to be told to people, fellow black people or other people of color even. And it's the same thing with MMA. Like I would visit gyms like in the southern United States. And I had a kind of, I lurk in some of the Facebook groups now. Just watching, Uatu, I'm just watching.
You see the Jordan Peterson videos come up, and
that shit came up like with some other people.
Harris.
I'm like, yo, man, like I could tell the people that haven't read, or they after you roll a great session, you're listening to the guy who's kind of like, he's a reactionary, he's maybe like a crypto fascist, but because you roll with him and because like he taught you this new move or like this new Americana lock or variation or something like that, that he has the bona fides, the bona fides, or however you want to pronounce it, to actually teach you on how to be politically aware. So like that's where like the Joe Rogan comes in. It was like, okay, this guy, he draws you in because he's talking about stuff that relates, but then he gives another person a platform that they are like diametrically opposed to your existence, dog. If you peel the onion, like they don't want you on this earth, even though you're one of the good ones if you enter the dojo with them, but once we cross that threshold, once we leave the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, once we leave the kickboxing gym, once we leave the weightlifting area, like fuck you, basically. So I saw
it kind of inoculates you a little bit to it in a way too.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of the problem is like being on there. If you have a sense of awareness on these sites or around these type of people, like you're like, oh, okay, well that's fucked up. Like that's hella wrong. But you normalize it so much, like the homie who's got hella black jokes, like poor ghetto black jokes and shit. And you kind of inoculate yourself to it to a point that you forget that it's problematic.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing that a lot when I was in Texas, actually. And you know, these are guys who are well intentioned, and the jokes aren't coming from a place of hate. The jokes are coming from a place of like institutionalized, like they believe it's funny and that's how they interact with people. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just like, yo, dog, you on my Facebook page. Like my dad sees this. Yeah, if my dad saw you say some black joke about stealing bikes, he'll probably rock you in the fucking face. And it's like it inoculates you, but it also gives it gives people the opportunity to fall further down that tunnel. And that's why I don't really fuck with Joe Rogan these days anymore, man, because at first it was like he's an everyman who's trying to figure out the world and he has questions, but it's quite clear now that his political ideology is set in stone and also his actions are set in stone. What he's doing with Spotify is like, it's like, all right, you went for the bag and against some of your, like, that's why you don't see Joey Diaz on there anymore. It's like you went for the bag, and that's one thing to do, but it's also just like I'm not fucking with a lot of this shit. And I've been off of MMA websites for probably the last 4 or 5 years now. And I found another one, but it was the same thing, but just smaller. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons I've lost interest, or not lost interest, but I don't know, like, who's in the division. What division is it? Who are my favorite fighters? I don't know, because I can't be in that space too long, especially with today's political climate.
Yeah. You got to protect your energy. And I mean, I have a similar trajectory, too. I mean, like, when I started fighting and started seeing the people that are, you know, swimming around in circles, and obviously my experience is a little bit different because I had a language barrier. Like the people I'm training with, I don't know that they might be Uyoku Dantai. I don't know that they might be.
Explain that for our listeners.
So Uyoku like means right winger. So you have a lot of people, and you see it like in NFL, you know, PGA, NBA. NBA maybe is like centrist when it comes to the continuum of American politics, but you have plenty of people like a Brett Favre, you know, a quarterback. They are all lives matter, or like a MAGA hat, you know, Tom Brady, the cheater. He's a cheater. He's a fucking cheater.
And even if they don't realize it or pronounce it themselves, that's the type of environments they was growing up in, and that's
it's
the
normalized,
type of subtle ideology that functions without them realizing it's even there.
And you see it in MMA where, you know, you have a lot of that cross-pollination, like a lot of former like football players, or a lot of former military people, or a lot of former even police, or former or current police officer. I had to like actually share the mat with people that I know your politics are centered on my oppression. I have to compartmentalize that. I have to really, and again, like you said, there is a certain inoculation when you know, if you're like lurking on these websites or these forums, that these people actually don't like your ass as far as past like your capacity to entertain them, or past them fantasizing about having your abilities because you inherently genetically you have some
fast
type of
twitch muscle fibers.
You're black, so you come from West Africa. You got all these fast twitch muscles. You're a superhuman magical Negro.
Like you see that undercurrent.
I am that, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. He is the Asiatic male of the future. You know?
I'm definitely on that. What is it? Lupin, the fucking impossible Negro. Like, I get out of the situation. That's right.
It's like, oh, how he do that shit?
No, but I think I'm losing my train of thought, but I'll refocus. Like for me, my trajectory was really getting into it and seeing that, okay, after training with somebody and hearing them say something like just out of left field, you know, okay, wow, that's kind of ridiculous. Like hearing it in person with someone that you thought maybe was your friend, or someone that could actually, you know, you could share your.
Like, you don't see this at all.
I'm just like, yo, this person comes from a completely different world, and I can't share my spirit, my time and energy with someone that wants me.
Do Do you, I not with like a person who is overtly racist or some shit, but people who are kind of like on a cusp of a political spectrum that I feel like I could maybe push them in a direction if I could just highlight certain things, right? I feel like this a lot with like libertarians because they're like, oh, taxation is stuff, and I was like, let me explain to you exactly how all of this is taken from your labor, right? I feel like a lot of times I feel like if I could just get this, and this is a tendency that I have that I'm working on. I'm trying to study and look at more often, but I feel like a lot of these guys, I could just push them further left if we could find a common ground that makes them forget that they have this kind of view of a certain type of essentialism.
Yeah, but how much energy do you want to use in finding those people that might be able to be pushed?
Well, I really don't put much energy into it, but if I could have a conversation about MMA that is, say, for instance, like unionizing fighters and unionizing, right? Because these motherfuckers don't think anything about unions. They've been.
There's some people out there that think about it. I've talked to them personally.
But generally, right and left wing politics, they tend to view unions as something of the past, something that is old, and this new neoliberal idea of free markets and everything that comes with that. They don't think about the union at all. But they all acknowledge that fighters are underpaid. They all acknowledge that the money is being fucking taken from most of them acknowledge that UFC is getting wildly rich, and how is it that this fighter is fucking needs Tim Sylvia needs money for back surgery. It's like this motherfucker's like a 2-time UFC champion. There's no union, there's no fucking mutual aid groups there for these fighters, and if we could kind of just focus on that, maybe we can get unionization, make those conditions better.
Well, I think you know
what I mean.
I think the very nature of the sport and martial arts in general is hierarchical, and a lot of times you don't listen to the people on the ground with you. You think that they don't know shit just because they're at a low level, but sometimes, I mean, one of the kind of funny things about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that everybody's on the ground, so you have to be equalized in one way or another. But when you're sitting up and you're talking to those people and trying to, like, you're just shooting the shit or just, talking about what you're going to eat for dinner that night or whatever, you realize that there's, huge gaps socioeconomically or even like politically. But this is something that I thought about definitely in the past, like when, for example, like Tyron Woodley was welterweight champ of UFC. I contacted him directly. I'm like, yo, because he was champ. I mean, he's from Ferguson.
That's right.
So I'm like, hey, I'm reaching out to you as a black man, like, hey, what you gonna say about this type of stuff? Because a lot of times when it comes to like union talks and all the stuff that kind of relates to our condition as black people within the empire, you got a lot of these people, they're quiet. And I ain't gonna name no names, but I've reached out to some of them, like, yeah, you seem to be okay with it because you're taking that growth mindset, the patterns of behavior to the extreme, where it's like, I work for this, right. And F everybody else.
You're not going to change a person's politics if they're if it means changing the conditions that allow them to live comfortably.
And shout out to Muhammad Ali. One of the reasons why they call him the greatest is because he put shit on the line. You have to ask people
to his detriment.
Everybody
else.
The champ of the world, one of the baddest dudes on the face of the planet, man. He put it on the line to speak truth to power. And you don't see that many people doing that. You can put out a social media campaign, whatever, but you're still sitting down with the people that are oppressing you in order to get, short-term financial gain instead of thinking about a collective, win. And I think with the union fight, one of the big roadblocks, obviously, is ego. That's with any activist circle, is getting out your own way, and
this
then also
individualist idea about yourself too.
Who's gonna be the mouthpiece? Who's gonna be the person that gets all the flack or all the fame?
Who has enough clout to really get it moving in the first place?
And that goes back to your talk about, like, if you go to a gym and you're trying to push certain people, some of those people are not gonna listen to you because you don't have a certain color belt. If you and I've talked to people about this before, like, that are aspiring black belts or are black belts. Hey, how are you actually helping your community for not just for, like, whatever mixed martial, whatever subsection of mixed martial arts you're working in, but how are you helping the community in general? How can you make the world a better place? Because that's how I look at martial arts in general. Like for the children that come after me, for their children, can you make yourself a better person to allow other people to be better versions of themselves going forward? Because it's not about you. If you think only about yourself, obviously self-preservation is key, but if you're only thinking about that short term, then all of this shit, collapses. And I think that's the same thing with the union. Like, nobody wants to make that short-term sacrifice in order to look intermediate term, long term. And
do you think that it would be possible for UFC fighters to unionize? What do we need for that? Would we need all of the champs?
Of course,
to fucking get together.
Could
we do it? Could we do it with like John Jones and fucking Stipe and I don't know.
Stipe ain't champ no more, man.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like these. He's got the white face and shit. Like, would it take these guys who have a certain level of popularity, your Max Holloways, in order to come together and actually strike on fighting? Or I feel like the UFC would just keep moving along. Those motherfuckers go to Bellator.
Yeah, so here's the problem about, and again, I mentioned this before. So like my conflict when I made the decision to start professionally fighting, I did it, personally to like prove to myself that I actually had some modicum of skill, prove that I was here. It's one of those existential crises, and it's people that listen know. They were like, yeah, man, I knew you this is like an alternative to therapy for you. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong, but you're not completely right. But then again, I think these people, because of the very nature of their occupation, we're fighters. We want to fight, and sometimes we want to make that fight harder. So the people, like, for example, like a Conor McGregor, who is an unabashed capitalist, he's going to use his story to say, hey, if I did it, why couldn't you? And that's going to naturally leave people out in the dust. You need visibility, but like the people that get to that point, you could say that they have been allowed there by the powers that be, and they are muted by the very nature of their jobs because they sign contracts.
Randy Couture was the UFC darling until he started talking, even after retirement, once he started talking about unionizing with these people. And now that motherfucker don't even get a replay clip on a UFC YouTube channel of his, he was a fucking weight class champ. That was Captain America, the natural Randy Couture. This motherfucker's in Expendables, and he was expendable as fuck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a weird thing, and I know that you and I don't have the answers for it. But part of my politics is also because I believe in the advancement of the conditions for all people in the United States under this fucking superstructure of oppression. I think that unions are generally a good way to do that, and unions also have like higher amounts of LGBTQ people in safe positions, high positions. The AFL-CIO as a union group has the most black women in positions of power of any other institution in the United States. I might be wrong on that, but even if I'm wrong, it's still tremendously higher than fucking you name it. So you got guys like Chris Smalls fighting Amazon, and I believe that fight for unions is important to a kind of incrementalist tendency that I have for getting us better conditions in the States. If I could switch gears one more time, because I know we're coming up on an hour, I got some just regular old MMA type of questions for you, my brother. And I'm glad that I got you out here today. Because one, I respect you as a person. And I look at you as a person who is a peer of mine and somebody that I like rocking with, and generally
that means a lot. Thank you.
And it makes me feel good that I can. I've never talked about MMA in depth on this podcast.
Okay.
And
it's the first time.
Really.
Oh. Okay.
I just haven't had a guest on, so I don't really be like, yo. So what do you think about the UFC? Over under? Is it going to come out? Will we have a union before Detox, Dr. Dre? You know what I mean? Like I never get into it, but it's been an absolute pleasure, and I also have really enjoyed our conversations about politics, even where our politics differ in a lot of ways, but we both have our eyes on the prize of universal liberation, and that's where you and I really keep it rocking, you know. And so first, I want to thank you, and I hope to have you back as a guest again, or even as a guest host when we have somebody of similar ilk that we can have a build with. In fact, when I get Baye on here eventually, I wouldn't mind if you can get on. I was thinking about getting my homie Miles on because Miles is a young god body and Baye was god body, and I kind of want to poke that. But these type of people, you know, that's what I want to get you on with. But I'm glad to be rocking with you. I do have just some simple questions about MMA type of like favorites. Did you have a nickname? Maurice the Beast Shelton. Maurice.
I had several, and I kind of pushed back on it because it was one of those things like
the Black Thunder. It was subtle racist shit.
It was something racialized, yeah. So like,
Kudo.
I think the first one, like they had tried to slip by me because they put it in the program before, like I knew that it was happening. It was like Black Sniper.
I mean, who's sniping besides military? And you gotta be black.
I think the other one was like the Black Assassin, Intelligence Spider. So it wasn't Intelligent Spider, it was Intelligent. So it was like that katakoto, like Japanese. So it was like Intelligent Spider. Because I had mentioned like I really like Anderson Silva or something like that to somebody, I don't know. And I'm like, I didn't come up with any of those nicknames. It was just the guy who was running the fight league.
I mean, I rock with you, dog, but I'm not calling you Intelligent Spider.
Exactly. I wasn't either. I was like, because when I first saw it, I saw it in the damn the fight program. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, Intelligent Spider? Like, what? Like,
trust me, baby. It's going to work
come on,
out for you.
It's going to get the people rocking.
Like, so, yeah. But now, I mean, I don't have any nicknames, man. I'm Mr. Shelton.
All right, we'll rock with that. Not Mr. Tibbs, Mr. Shelton.
Mr. Shelton.
What do you think about Rizin? You enjoy their program? Do you think their fighters are strong? Do you think one is actually like the kind of head of the Asian MMA scene?
I think, well, not to incriminate myself or like to like make any enemies, but I mean one championship. ONE FC, they've had some financial troubles in the past. So obviously, again, like the nature of this industry, it's a meat grinder. So like if you do decide to show solidarity, there's always some somebody else willing to take your place. Same with Rizin. I mean, Rizin, it comes from the corpse of pride. Pride never die.
Pride never die. I got an old Pride shirt in there somewhere. It don't fit me no more because.
And again, as Pride, I have a complicated relationship with like my fandom of Pride because it's one of those things where, like they have the freak fights or whatever, but then you look back and you say, okay, well, this dude was brought in to be a jobber or to be brought in just to entertain you, but like, did they take care of that dude afterwards? Did he get paid his worth, and you kind of seeing the same thing with a lot of the fight promotions around. Like the fighters they're struggling. I mean, that's been the case for a long time. When I was fighting, I wasn't getting paid shit. I was getting paid peanut, like literally, like they were trying to pay me like in like protein shakes and like pre-workout and shit like that.
Damn. I got my homie Alexander Hunter. They try to pay this motherfucker not in fighting but in acting. Oh, we didn't even talk about your fucking movie, dog.
Oh, get me started on the damn acting, man.
But they try to give him a box of 100 family chickens. Frozen, like take
Shout out to Hunter. Hunter-san, my bigger and younger doppelganger.
Lex, right?
Yeah, man,
Lex,
I know.
Lex Caliber,
him,
dog.
Yeah, like I get mistaken for him all the time. Like, and I'm like, dude, he's like way bigger than me, and I'm like darker than him.
Yeah,
like
by
we got
several
the same hair.
orders of.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on here? Like, so it's one of those things. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I work in industries that, by their very nature, are exploitative, and I. As a fan, I'm like, yeah, man, I remember that time. Like, I used to love like Genki Sudo, and it was like, but he's fighting against this dude, like
when Nick Diaz got that go-go Plata.
Yeah. It was like I love that as just as a fight fan, but then I think, okay, they're doing kind of the same stuff where if you on a purely like skill level, are they recruiting the best to fight the best? I'm talking about Rizin or like ONE,
right?
Like, or is it just the people that are willing to play ball? Because
sure.
You see these people getting vilified in the, like with the John Jones potentially fighting Francis Ngannou. It's like, no matter what you think about John Jones or like even Conor McGregor, like they're fighting for what they think they're worth because they saw what happened.
I
with
hope
Conor
John
McGregor
holds
versus
out on it,
Mayweather,
man.
you know?
But I
Yeah,
also
he
hope
should
John's
paid.
get knocked out too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't say I'm a fan of John at all, but I do agree that he is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But you know,
He deserves to be paid.
Francis, do the work, dog.
Yeah,
I'm rocking
Francis
with.
is
I see Francis losing a little bit. I can see the hair coming. He gonna look
Yeah.
like me in a couple. Hey, shout out to my dog.
Time waits for no man's hairline, man.
I do. I want to give you an. I know we kind of running. We are just over an hour, which I've been trying to keep it tight.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about. The movie endeavor that you're working on, really quick.
Okay.
But first, 2 more questions.
All right.
What's your walkout music?
Walkout music.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how I feel at the time, man.
Okay.
If I were to sign for a fight today, that's a tough one, man. It would
Lil
probably
Nas X. What was that new
Call
shit?
me by your name.
I don't know the name of his new song.
Yeah,
I just know there was a controversy about it.
Yeah,
I didn't even see the video, but
now I'm gonna come out like
some
like
knee-high boots and shit.
pole dance down, slide down the pole to hell. Maybe it would be all caps. I'm looking at MF Doom right now.
There
Like,
we go. That's the guy.
like that, some primo beat or
No, you good. You good. All caps. That's it right there. All
Yeah.
caps. You heard it first.
yeah.
All right. Favorite all-time mixed martial artists. Just list a couple. I'll give you a few.
Yeah,
you know what I
don't
mean?
give me. Don't.
Yeah.
Oh man.
When I first got into MMA, I was a fan. I liked Evan Tanner. I also liked and that's because I heard that he was training in his garage.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was a big BJ Penn fan. My favorite all time is maybe Georges St. Pierre.
Okay.
I love watching his entire career. I think
You
he
seen
was
him
great.
on Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my dog, Bat Rock dog.
Yeah.
He got a little bit of hair happening and shit now. That's my dog. But I'm a huge fan. Of course, I was a fan of Anderson. That's a given.
Yeah.
Fedor, a huge fan of Fedor, and Dark Horse. I was a huge fan of Lyoto Machida.
Ah,
That
okay.
motherfucker was just
Yeah.
early Lyoto when
Yeah,
nobody
yeah.
knew what the
Yeah,
fuck
they were
was
like,
going
"What
on.
is going on?"
I
We're
thought he
running
was
into his fist. I don't understand.
So fucking elusive.
yeah.
I was like, that motherfucker bad. And of course, I like Vanderlei in Pride before he got the scar tissue removed.
yeah.
He was the scariest looking motherfucker at the
Yeah.
time. But yeah,
I mean,
I just listed off.
I didn't
some of
like
the
Vanderlei
best-
just because he beat my man Quentin Jackson, man. He
whooped his
left
ass
his dick in the dirt, man, like all the way.
Twice, like
and then
bad.
same with Sakuraba, early on, like I remember I was at my grandmama's house, man. I saw Kevin Randleman fight.
Shout out, rest in peace.
And I was like, yo, man, like they call him Monster. I'm like, yo, I want to be like him, man. I just want to like have that aura because you could see, he's jumping and doing all that stuff. This is like UFC after. I can't remember exactly when, but it was early on, like in the UFC.
he was still wearing wrestling shoes in there. And shit.
Yeah, he was still wearing them Asics, man. Like I growing up, like I was a fan of old school, like I like Frank Shamrock. I like how he did his thing.
That's the first gym that I ever went to. Not Frank's gym. The Lions Den in San
Lions
Jose.
Den.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never saw him there, but
Yeah.
be
He probably already left by the time you rolled over there.
yeah,
'cause he
this
had
was
to break
maybe
with them.
2004.
Yeah, he was long gone by then.
Yeah.
I mean, I cheer for everybody who's black. So if they were black and and I was watching it, like whether it was on the computer or on TV, I was cheering
Eves
for 'em.
Edwards.
Yeah, man. Thug
Eves is
Jitsu.
dope.
Shout out Thug Jitsu, man. Cause I'm like, yeah, man. This dude kind of like people say I look
Dean
like
Thomas.
Dean. Yo, I want to train with Dean eventually, man. Cause Dean is a good coach, man. I just see how he interacts with people. I'm like, yeah.
I think he's going to be doing the color work now for the
Yeah.
UFC broadcast
Yeah.
because they fired what's his face or they let go of what's his face. What's the Mohawk?
Dan
fucking
Hardy?
Great. Dan Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. He's great, but I mean, he has
Yeah.
a few too many interactions the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, like, not to just call him out, but it's like one of those things where it's like I know he a cool dude, but I'm like, yeah, like it's that compartmentalization I was talking about before. It's like you got to separate some of the stuff from like the really problematic stuff, because like if you're down with some of those people, it's like, yeah, some of these people don't really like you, man.
Right,
but
right.
he's the coach. I mean, he's a guy. I mean,
yeah,
and
he's
then
he's good at talking about upcoming fights.
Yeah.
And that's about all I need from him. And that's about as much as I'll give support to him. I ain't buying no fucking T-shirts. I ain't even giving him ratings like that. You know.
But I mean, I
on
support him
YouTube.
as someone who's like he's a triple OG black man in this
Oh, I'm
sport.
I'm talking about Dan Hardy. My bad.
Oh, Dan Hardy. I
Yeah,
thought you were
yeah.
talking about Dean, man.
Oh no, I fuck with Dean. I had Dean's like 101 submissions DVD back in like 2005 and shit. And we was rolling
a bad bitch.
we was rolling in the living room. You're trying to figure the shit out back then.
That's what's up, man. I'm trying to think who else. Like, I mean, obviously Anderson, man. You know, before, you know, he was known like Carlos Newton.
Yeah.
I was cheering for Carlos Newton. I was actually pissed. I was actually one of the times, memorable times, I was on the Sherdog forums and just lurking and seeing people talk shit about Carlos Newton, and that's when I knew I was like, okay, yeah, because in my opinion, he beat Matt Hughes, okay, but he, you know, whatever.
Right. That was, I mean, double KO.
Yeah, it was a double KO, but when I remember when that fight happened, I'm like, yo, he should have been the champion still, not Matt Hughes, because we find out later on Matt Hughes is not a good person.
Whole human piece of trash.
Yeah.
Like a whole.
Yeah.
I hate to speak bad on a mentally fucking ill, but because he's fucked up now.
Yeah, it's
but
a tragic story, but yeah, like,
but yeah,
man,
fuck
whatever,
him on a double and his twin ass brother.
Yeah,
What's his name? Fucking the Crow, David Loiseau.
David Loiseau.
Did you
nice
train
dude.
with him? Was he at?
Yeah,
TriStar?
he was on the mats when I was there, man. So like I reached out to
That
him,
spinning
like, and
back
I'm like,
kick from that motherfucker was strong.
nice dude. He opened up his own gym, man. So like anybody in Canada, man, go holler at him. Same with like Cajun Raging Cajun Johnson. Like he he opened up a subsidiary of TriStar too. So yeah, like anybody black, I cheer for, man. And that might sound kind of narrow-minded, but I'm like, you know, I know the challenges that people face when they enter that realm. So like growing up, like I always was, you know, just rooting for someone that looked like me. So like Maurice Smith shares my name. You know, I followed him for a little bit because he was a kickboxing champ. I'm more of a boxer, you know, boxing fan. So you know, Quentin Jackson. I mean, he was an early idol of mine. I still, you know, I consider
that motherfucker problematic as hell, but I still rock with it.
Yeah. I mean, before this is like Pride days. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm cheering for this dude because he sound like me, man. He a nigga from the South, man. Like I'm like, okay, he sound like all the way like he just a regular ass black dude, you know, just trying to, you know. And they played up some of the bullshit, but like, you know, I'm like, I get it when he was doing his mic work.
I mean, he was doing a show a lot of times.
Yeah,
You know
and shout out to Muhammad Laval. Like, you know, he was Strikeforce champ. Like he was one of the first people that actually
King Mo
gave me advice on my own career. You know, he's out there training, you know, some killers out in the States. You know, he was somebody that I followed early on in my days when I was in Japan too. So, and then also, you know, I'm a fan of his art, not maybe necessarily his actions outside of the octagon, but John Jones.
Yeah.
I like Izzy right now, you know. I like
big fan of Izzy. Usman is fucking
Usman,
hard.
You know, and somebody, I think Dean had just commented on the fact, you know, Usman is talking about walking away. You know,
good for him.
Yeah, so it's, you know, he
fighting Masvidal this weekend,
he's,
right?
he's fighting George, you know, and you know I got some words for him, you know, but
George, you know, he got a little bit of that right in him. He got too much of that right in him.
And, you know,
and it's weird because it's just weird.
It's weird, but it's not weird. I mean, if you know the politics of the people down in that area of the country of Miami, you know, and the Cubanos, you know, it's like, yeah.
I just don't want it to be true is what I feel about it.
You know, and I tried to reach out. I'm like, yo, man.
I was watching that motherfucking fight after Kimbo, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was watching that, you know, and then, rest in power, Kimbo Slice, man. Like, you know, he's an icon in his own right. Who else? I mean, George.
I gotta cut you off. We going way over time, and I
yeah.
still want to give you an opportunity to plug your movie that you got coming out.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So the working title now is Sin Padre. It's about fatherhood, man. I think that's kind of the rough synopsis. Is just
this is a movie.
It's going to be a short film. I'm not clear on all the details yet, but we've been shooting it for the past few months now. You know, we've had some hiccups just because of the pandemic. But I'm the lead I'm the lead.
yeah?
Mama, I'm a star.
I
Daddy,
didn't know.
look at
See,
me.
I be learning new shit about you all the time. I didn't know you was doing movies and shit like that.
I'm trying. I'm striving, man. You know, I be fighting a good fight every day.
You a real Renaissance type motherfucker too, huh? For real. He got an album coming out. It's dropping. It's called
exclusive.
It's called Detox. UFC Union. Yeah, it's coming out.
Unionize. You want black liberation? No.
The Black Sniper. Intelligence.
Coming for your dome. Give you the knowledge. No, but
I got bombs or some shit.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah.
You know the vibes.
Yeah, but we've been shooting and I'm the lead. I mean, it's basically about raising a child as a black man in Japan.
Who's the director?
The director is a man called Humphrey Free Rodriguez. So you all can look him up on social media. I don't know his handles and all that, but like I'll let him know that I dropped his name. But smart dude. He's a perfectionist to my detriment, but it's okay. Like, cause you want to make it right, you know, when you're doing some work like this, because I think a lot of people will dig this. It's one of the first roles that I've done where I actually was, you know, the center of attention. So, you know, I've been in movies before. I've been an extra. I've been like the guy one-liner. I'm like, but this time I get to show my skill, whether or not it's that much. You know, I'm like, I get to show it. So I'm very happy that I'm involved with the project.
Looking forward to watching that, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
gonna be ill. Do you know when it's coming out? Did you just say that? I just got bad news on the phone and shit. Shock G died. Well, I'm not certain. But I got a message from our man, Paulie Rhymes, who's also on the This Is Not Information. He said, man, the 50s is doing a number on hip-hop. Jeez. And then my next message from my brother, Diami. Shout out to Knee Block. Knee Block. Yeah. It says Humpty died. And I'm sure by Humpty he means Shock G.
Shock G, the one that put the satin in your panties.
He once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. It's a shame, man. Rest in peace,
man. I don't want to confirm it, but yeah, man. If that's true, man, rest in power, man. Because Digital Underground, man. God. 20. I mean, 20. I blame this on 2020 because it's been rough, man. Like, and again,
I just feel like these problems are going to continue. All of the problems that we have now are going to continue to be exacerbated as income inequality and the exploitation of the global South and fucking climate change. COVID has just been a dress rehearsal for the type of lives that we're going to be living, man. Neo-feudalism happening, and me and Maurice will get back to you on all that political shit one of these days, man. But I better wrap it up here, dog, because I'm over by 15 minutes of my normal shit, which is not bad because I'm enjoying the conversation. But I also know you got to get out of here in about 15. So yeah, man, let's do a social media drop. Where can we find you? And also plug the podcast.
All right. My name is my name, so you can find me on Twitter. I'm just lurking, but yeah, if you want to engage with me, my name is Maurice Shelton. It's Maurice Shelton, at Maurice Shelton. I got a lurker page on Instagram too. You can find me there. It's maurice.l.shelton. I'm on Facebook too. Again, I don't hide. You know, you want to come see me, come see me. Also, I'm a host on This Is Not Information. Shout out to Paulie Rhyme, Bernie, Kristen, Miss Chuck Norris. Just joking. But yeah, we shoot the shit. We talk about things that are relevant to today's climate. And I hope that you can build with us, you know, tune in. Other than that, yeah, you might see me getting stopped by the cops on the streets of Tokyo. But yeah, I'm a regular dude, just trying to survive out here. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, please contact me there.
Links are all in the bio, man. Pay attention. Mega Late Show, Tokyo Hip Hop Art and Culture. Support local and independent art. Build mutual aid. And also all the beats have been brought to you by Il Mahal, which is Tajima Hall and Il Sugi. We're going to go out to this joint right here called Oh My Dilla.
My Dilla. Peace.